Yeah, that's just what it's like. Nothing.
It is what it is now because we're all in lockdown. Like,
yeah. There's just nothing funny happening because you're not going out.
Maybe that's the cold open. Just
That was my thought. That's why I hit the record button. I was just like, you know what? There's nothing funny happening. And like again, so
we're going on this week, boys.
So
girls, boys.
So the funniest thing, hang on, just to rehash it, the funniest thing that happened to you, Dave, is Ricki, you and I were playing Minecraft, and Ricki fell in lava twice, and that's absolutely popped you.
When you say it like that, no one's gonna pop, John. Okay, you gotta paint the fucking picture of why it's the funniest thing in the world.
All right, paint me the picture.
The way that David specifically typed it out to me is what made me pop.
Actually, no.
The way he told the story.
Hot.
Yeah. No, actually, you know what? Can I change my answer for the funniest thing that happened to me this week? The funniest thing that happened to me this week actually is also related to Dave. And it was when you jumped onto Discord when you were keen as a bean to play Minecraft, and like it was the, how do I describe it? It was the auditory equivalent of and I don't know how. I mean, Ricki, you will understand what I'm saying. It was the auditory equivalent of Kramer coming through Jerry Seinfeld's door.
It literally was. It literally fucking was.
Right, like it was that. It was just that. It was just sort of like you were like John, you wouldn't believe it.
No. Let me just paint that picture really quickly.
Yeah, please do.
So
please.
I have been obsessed with playing Minecraft ever since you mentioned it last week, Ricki. All right, we're telling the perfect tale here right now. All right, people have listened to last week's episode, and people listening to this week's episode, you feel me on this. So for like 3 days following that, it was all I could think about. Like genuinely all I could think about. I would spend my day doing work and I would code a little bit, and then as soon as I'd like finish my walk at 6:30, I'd get home and then I could think of nothing else. I genuinely could not think of anything else but going, fuck, I really want to play Minecraft. I would play other games on my PlayStation and I would stop after 20 minutes because I just can't be fucked. It's not Minecraft. So that fucking desire got to me one day, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm firing off a snap to you boys. I need to play. I bought it right on the spot. I'm like, this is happening. So I'm just sitting in Discord waiting, literally waiting. I'm doing nothing else. I'm not even looking on the internet. I'm just waiting for you guys to get in there because I'm so fucking keen for Minecraft. And then John enters the chat, and no words are said. There's maybe about 2 seconds of white noise, and I just go, John, I'm glad you're here.
That's it. That was it. Yeah, John, I'm glad you're here.
John, I'm glad you're here. I can't express to you how fucking keen I am to play some fucking Minecraft right now. It is as if God has opened up a 2x4 of desire and slapped me at the back of the fucking head. The full force of God's will himself has hit me with this. I need to play.
Yeah, that was
play
it.
We did, and that was the greatest 3 hours of my life that night. Fuck.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was like I really enjoyed it. Like,
and then Ricki died in lava twice. The same lava. The same lava.
Yes.
He died the first time, which I'll give it to you, Ricki. I'll be like, fine. You deserve to. Everyone dies in lava. This is the rite of passage with Minecraft. It's your first day. It was your second day playing. You died in lava. Fair enough. Some of the basic concepts have befallen you. Don't dig underneath you for starters. But it's the perfect tale of circumstance as you've respawned, you've gone, fuck, I've just died in lava. I'm still popping at the fact you've died in lava. And then there's a 10-minute auditory journey of you explaining to us how you are tracing your steps, trying to find your way back to where you would found to try and get your stuff to that same block of lava. You found it. You rejoiced. You got fucking hype about it. You're like, yes, I can't believe I found it. I thought it was going to despawn. There's maybe a second and a half where none of us talk and it's dead silent at like 10:30 at night. And then all we hear is just the loudest fuck I have ever heard across Discord as you have fallen into lava, and then the text appears on the screen, Ricki Needs has died to lava. And I have lost it at that point.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I remember that. It was because like on my end, I wasn't actively observing it. Or I was back at the base just building, because like that's what I like to do. And all I saw on my screen was, or all I heard was like "fuck," and then it popped up on the screen. Ricki has died in lava. Like that was all the context I had, and then you dying of laughter, like just as a sort of like an auditory. Like, a minimalist comedic skit, it was pretty good. like in the most minimalist way possible. And then it was literally just like one word, a piece of text, and that was it. That was the whole joke. It was actually pretty good. But yeah, those were the funniest things that happened to us this week. Those two.
I wasn't even there, and that's still the funniest thing that's happened to me this week.
But pure osmosis, it should be the funniest thing that's happened to all of us this week. I've told that many people.
The story that Dave weaved to me over Messenger was beautiful, and I audibly popped while I was preparing for a meeting at work.
Glad I could provide you with some laughter this week.
Yeah, so thanks, Ricki. I appreciate your blunders.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for Ricki for providing that community service.
I'm still learning how to Minecraft.
That's
it's
all right.
okay. You're better than me. I've played maybe 15 minutes of Minecraft in my entire life.
If it's any consolation, Ricki, that first level of Halo we played last night is the equivalent of that whole night you playing Minecraft. Okay.
Yeah,
the amount of times I died.
You were rusty. You were definitely.
I was rusty. I was brushing off the dust, man.
Yeah. It was good though. But yeah, fucking. I that's the thing. I'd never played Minecraft before, and just by happenstance, just started. And David was like, "Fuck, we're gonna do a server. We're gonna fucking just go fucking full on." And I'm like, "All right, that's fine. We'll do that." And yeah, it's been a bit of an odyssey ever since.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty fun. Like I've been working on that world, like, you know, in my spare time, throughout the week, just improving the base and like building stuff on it. So like it's looking pretty good now. I just need to like do I every time I go to bed at night, I'm not even kidding. Like I go to bed at night, I lie in bed, and my first thought is like, you know that scene in the which one was it? Oh god, because there's 20 of the fucking things. In Avengers: Age of Ultron, I think it was. Where there's like a running skit throughout the movie that like Hawkeye is just like constantly talking about like renovating his house. He's like, what if I knock out that wall and make the whole thing a drawing room, blah blah blah. Like I go to bed and that's what my brain does. It's sort of like, what if I just knocked out that wall and like built this, and like that's so that's where my brain's been at all week. It's just like it's finally got something to like actually chew on and consume. So like yeah, that's pretty good. And with that, welcome to Pint Party, a podcast designed to turn a beer and a chat into a tax write-off. I'm your host, John McLeish, and joining me this week is the Gimmick Gang themselves, Ricki Needs and David Young. Boys, welcome.
Hey.
Good moment.
And joining us once again is the prodigal daughter, JJ. JJ, welcome.
Salutations.
Our special guest spurt this week, JJ.
Oh yeah, I like that title, guest spurt.
Yeah.
It feels so important.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. This is like this is the JJ like hour of power for sure. Because we I mean, besides the fact that like we'd like to have you on every week, but you can't because like, you know, you're an actual adult and you do adult things despite the fact you're the youngest of the group.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, like of the entire group, I think you're the most mature because you like hold a job and like do important things and go to meetings and shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a job, but I don't go to meetings.
That's what I mean. Like
I was on a 4-hour Zoom call this week, and I can tell you that Zoom fatigue is just the worst. I immediately wanted to nap for like 18 hours.
Yeah, that's something I don't have a frame of reference for because like I haven't done that. I did do a Skype call once in a businessy sense, but that was for like an hour, so you know it wasn't that big of a deal. So yeah, I have no frame of reference for like Zoom fatigue. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, you're
don't do it. Don't
you're the
do
most
it.
adulting.
It's turning me into an adult, and I really don't like it.
Well, yeah. So yeah, you're
it
the most.
Hurts my soul.
For sure, but we're not going to be talking about any of that this week. It's okay.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about something more fun. We're going to be talking about. We're not going to be talking about Zoom in the slightest. In fact, we're going to go back a couple of 100 years, long before Zoom became a word that was associated with video conferencing. And in fact, I wonder if when Zoom still meant magnifying things on a telescope.
Going fast.
Did Zoom mean going fast like 250 years ago?
Look, you're probably actually more accurate with saying that Zoom is to like look in deeper into something.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm trying to like because the words now.
Let me do a quick Google. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, so here's my thinking, right? Zoom has had a lot of shit tacked onto it over the years. Like we just keep like it's one of those words in the English language that we just keep bolting meanings onto. It's like, okay, it means this now. Now it also means this, and it also means that. So then when you try and go back through history to figure out what the fuck the word means, you've got to like pull all of this shit off to like get at the actual word. So I'm trying to figure out like which definition is, because I mean, okay, I think it's pretty safe to say, because I can still see like the welding is still hot, right? It's still hot to the touch. I'm pretty sure a couple hundred years ago didn't mean video conferencing software, because I'm also pretty confident that every word that defines that like video conferencing and software also didn't exist. I like at all. So then we have to go, okay, so we'll pull that one off. That's an easy one to pull off. It's just got some tack welds. So we go back and we go, okay, zoom is in going fast in a car. Well, that only applies up until what, the early 20th century? And even then, the first rally races weren't even about speed. They were about stamina. Basically, it was like, could you keep your car running long enough to get to the finish line? That was like the first long distance rally. It was literally like that. Like I think the top speed was like 10 miles an hour or something. But like, I mean, the amount of breakdowns you would have was just ridiculous, because cars were just not designed to do that. So like, it was a real feat of engineering if you could get the thing over the fucking finish line. So then we go even further back than that. We pull that one off. Go even further back than that. It's got to mean the magnifying glass thing, doesn't it? Like
Zoom, the first known use of Zoom was in 1886.
Oh shit. Okay, so we're going to go even further back than that, before the word Zoom was even a thing.
And did you know that a synonym for Zoom is burr, which brings us onto our topic.
Oh, segue! Segue!
I told you guys, I'm segues.
That was fucking excellent.
What was the synonym, sorry, real quick?
Burr.
Burr.
Like Aaron Burr from the musical Hamilton.
Oh,
we got there. We got there.
Fucking, I was literally sitting here going, "Geez, John, we've." I was like, "Okay, Ricki and JJ, what have we done? We've allowed John to talk. Now he's just not going to stop for the next 20 minutes. Like, how are we going to get Hamilton in here?"
You know that my one thing that I could always do on this podcast is somehow connect the dots in a weird way.
That's why we put you on every week, because that's what you do. You come in with the marker and like figure this shit out. Otherwise, it's just three dickheads just like screaming into the void incoherently.
Well, I'm glad that my skills can be of use, and that I can bring us on to my favorite subject of all time.
Yes, absolutely. So that was what I was trying to get at. Is that we're talking about Hamilton. It's just dropped on Disney Plus, and just for the sake of specificity. My understanding is that, because obviously Hamilton's a stage show. It's a musical, and it's been played in theaters in off Broadway, on Broadway, and they did a run here in Australia. Did they do one in London? I think they did, didn't they?
No, the one in Australia is coming next year.
Oh, it is
in March, and tickets come out in like next month, and I'm very excited.
Okay. No, I thought I'd already done a run.
No, they did do the West End in London though.
They did do the West End, did you say?
Yeah, they did. They have it in New York, Los Angeles,
Chicago,
London, Chicago.
Yeah, okay.
And then,
Right, okay.
Will be the first Southern Hemisphere run when it comes in March.
Brilliant. Oh, this is perfect
comes
timing.
in March.
If it comes at all.
Do
not jinx it, because I want to also get a ticket.
Ruin my dreams.
No, like I'm having watched it now. Yeah, I fucking want to go as well.
Dude, how good is it? How good is it? Okay, this is not for us to talk about, Ricki. This is JJ, but
let JJ gush, and then we'll come in with our
newfound perspective.
It's actually a really interesting topic for me, because I've known about Hamilton, I think, since my sister found the soundtrack in 2017. So I've known about this musical for a very long time, and I haven't been around people who have only just watched it for the first time or heard about the whole thing like ever. This is a very exciting time for me, because you boys haven't seen it, and now you've seen it for the first time, and I'm like,
Except for me. That's what I was about to say. So I'm going into this completely blind. That's kind of the idea today, is that sort of like,
yes.
And that was the point I wanted to make as well, is that the version that's on Disney Plus that you can go and watch right now, for everybody at home, is the Broadway version of the play
Yes,
with
it was
Lin-Manuel
filmed
Miranda.
in the Richard Rogers Theatre in 2016 with the original Broadway cast.
Yeah,
that came from the off-Broadway. So like it's all the people who are on the soundtrack, and everyone's been wanting to see it for years. It's meant to come out in the theaters next year because they've had this on bank for
literal years.
Literal years, and then they decided, you know what? Fuck it, let's put it on Disney Plus. Hell yeah! And I'm like, yeah.
And thank fucking God they did.
So my question is, like, because there's so many differing, like, obviously, like, every different cast is gonna bring a different flavor to a play, just no matter what the play is. I mean, like, you know, the rendition of Arsenic and Old Lace that they did in Hollywood is very different to the rendition of Arsenic and Old Lace we did at my high school theater. You know, we brought a different flavor to the thing. Namely because me, as somebody dressed in all black who was there to just move sets around, became the most popular character in the play. Because my friends came out, and every time I walked on stage, they were just like, "Hey, Johnny!" And I'm just like, "Shut the fuck up! I'm not supposed to be here." So like I said, every play has its own flavor. Would you say that this version, the Broadway version, the one that's on Disney Plus, is kind of like the Blade Runner equivalent of like the 2007 final cut? Like, this is like the definitive version of Hamilton?
Well, the thing with, as I'm a bit of a musical theatre nerd, the thing with musicals, any musical, no matter what, so using Hamilton as the example, when a musical gets sort of created and it gets cast for the first time, the actors and the ensemble that are really sort of are cast in those roles are really the people that set the precedent. So they all characterize their characters in a very specific way, but they really lead the charge in how the character should be portrayed, like anywhere else. So the LA version, like the LA run of Hamilton, exactly the same musical, exactly the same music, exactly the same costumes, set, everything's the same, but the actors are different. It'll still have the same vibe, but they'll be taking, so for example, the guy who plays Hamilton in the LA run will be following Lin-Manuel Miranda's sort of rendition and characterization, but adding their own flavor.
Right.
To it.
Fucking luck.
Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's really hard to beat the person who wrote the musical for 6 years.
Yeah.
Did you know, Dave? It took him 5 years to write My Shot.
Yeah, I know. I've done like a little bit of deep, because my favorite song from Hamilton is okay, I've got 3 favorite songs. I can't pick between them. They're all fucking good in my opinion.
Earlier.
They're all fucking excellent in my opinion. My Shot is probably my favorite because it's just it happened so early in the musical that it took me off guard, because I went in, and I'm gonna go to a quick personal anecdote, because this is your fault, JJ. Just a quick personal anecdote. I went in and I knew it was a musical. I knew it was Broadway. But my understanding of Broadway was very like classical. It's very cheesy and for lack of a better term, or lack of a better descriptor, Broadway-y, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right, in its presentation. Jazz handsy, everyone's moving across stage and sets are moving and all that kind of stuff. But then I went in, and then that first song was kind of like that, but it was an introductory song, and then My Shot kind of is next. And then that one just took me off guard because it wasn't Broadway in a typical sense. It was like a mixture of fused hip hop and rap, like pop come into it as well, which is what is the flavor of the entire musical, right? Because it's current America telling the story of old America, which I think is such a brilliant prism to utilize. But My Shot's my favorite. And little personal anecdote, when I was listening to that, I fucking did deep research. 2015 was when they first aired Hamilton. It's a new Broadway concept. But it feels so old school. Like, I love that from this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've just swept up.
It's really great because thinking it, like, as you said, like the whole music of it, the music itself, ignoring the lyrics, the music sort of and the orchestration is very old Broadway because it's full of different motifs. Every character has like a theme.
Yeah.
And that's very old Broadway, but where Lynn kind of flipped it on its head a bit was with the rendition of the fact that the entire thing is rap.
Oh, fantastic. I love that so much. I love that so much because I'm a big fan of rap. So seeing that, and then the rap battles. Oh my
yes, the
god!
cabinet battles. Doing the cabinet battles in the form of a rap battle was incredible.
If there was any character who was going to have a different personification of one of the Hamilton characters, it's the guy who played Thomas Jefferson, because I feel like that character is so much akin to who the actor is.
Yeah, Daveed Diggs is an amazing
Daveed
rapper.
Diggs.
Like his work with clipping is incredible.
So if another actor were to come in and play Thomas Jefferson in that role, I feel like they would bring a different flair. But I feel like they couldn't, though, because they have the whole cabinet battle scene, which is like almost meant to be for him. It's like a homage for him as the actor.
He was also brilliant as Lafayette.
Oh, yeah.
With the French accent.
Yes. Did you know that in Guns and Ships, the one where Lafayette raps really fast?
Yeah.
One of the lines in that was the fastest ever line, like fastest line ever created in Broadway history.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I was about to bring that up because Guns and Ships is up there as one of my favorite songs.
It's great.
Because it's and I'll say this up top. Through the entire thing, Burr is my favorite character.
I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
I 100% agree.
And George Washington. I fuck with George Washington.
Chris Jackson is incredible.
Oh, and King George. How can we not call her King George?
His spit is the real MVP of...
Oh my god, right. That just happened to have the camera so zoomed in on his face as he got really into it.
Yeah. But Burr, like the guy who plays, I don't have his name in front of me.
Leslie Odom Jr.
There you go.
It's okay,
Josh, he knows, man.
Are you a fan?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. It just flat out just stole the entire show. Like you guy who's like standing next to Lin-Manuel Miranda for the entire show pretty much did like a more eye-catching job to me than what he did. He's
100%. Yeah,
Agreed.
like
a fucking phenomenon.
The first time I heard the soundtrack, as soon as I heard "Wait for It" for the first time, I'm like, this guy's my favorite. I love him.
Yeah, he is just.
No one else in the room as well. Like, oh.
Like, yeah, Rumor It Happened is my favorite song in the whole musical.
Oh, fuck.
It's so good.
Is the soundtrack on Spotify?
Yes, it is. I will recommend that you listen to it all the way through, John. It's really great.
So hang on. Okay, so that's kind of my next question then. Is like, is it spoilery to listen to the soundtrack before watching the play? Because obviously, like the soundtrack, it's a musical. Like the soundtrack is sort of the whole kit and caboodle.
That's what I did. I've done that for years. Like the first time I've ever seen it was when I watched it 2 weeks ago, and I've listened to the soundtrack for 3 years.
Yeah, righto.
And just listening to the soundtrack and watching the musical, even with this is the case with any musical, is extremely different because of the fact that the soundtrack is recorded in such a pristine environment. Like you guys know what a recording booth's like. It's such a pristine sound environment. The singing in that is very different the singing that you get in the actual show, because in the show they're dancing at the same time, they're having to do characterizations. The singing is a lot more raw. So listening to the soundtrack before you watch the movie, I'd argue, doesn't really spoil anything.
Do you think it enhanced the experience? Do you think having known the songs as soon as sort of like the opening riff opened, you're like, oh, here we go, it's this one?
Yes.
Kind of like being at a concert.
Well, I think I know all the words to 75% of the musical. Like I know all the raps. I can rap Guns and Ships off the top of my head. I know all the words to my shot, and that's because I listened to the soundtrack. So when I watched it for the first time, I watched it with my sister, and we got rather drunk while I watched it because we're like, we're going to do drunk Hamilton. It's going to be great. And we just sat there, and because we knew all the words, we were just watching them. We were actually watching them perform for the first time, and that just really made it for us because we're like, oh, after this bit, yeah, get ready for the next bit. And it was really great because we know all the words and we knew the motif. But watching it kind of enhanced that because I could now see why that bit in the music was like it was as a nerd. As a musical theater nerd, I'm like, that makes sense now as to why that song transitions properly into this one and why this does this. Da, 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 da. So it really depends on how nerdy you want to get, and I know that I'm going to be a lot more nerdy about this sort of stuff than you guys are.
Well, I think if there's one thing we've learned on Pint Party is to never underestimate how nerdy I can get.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking to the guy that plays Truck Simulator and genuinely jumped for joy when Microsoft Flight Sim got a release date.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
So
no, I'm right there with you, JJ. You are in good company with this. Now,
if I was in your shoes, John, actually, I would recommend listening to the soundtrack on Spotify first. Because
You
when
reckon?
I chucked it on, and I don't know about you, Ricki, but when I chucked it on, I knew it was a musical, but I didn't know the entire fucking thing was a musical from start to finish. Like, not a single spoken word outside of song. So
Wait, are
when
you
I,
serious?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, most musicals are like that.
Yeah, but I didn't
Yeah.
think all 2 hours and 50 minutes was going to be like that.
The entire thing is music. Entire thing is rapping.
But I loved it. But like, why I recommend listening on Spotify is because I think, at least for me personally, when I dived into it, I didn't understand I didn't coherently get what was going on in the narrative by immersing myself in the music until maybe halfway through my shot. So maybe about 15 minutes in. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I get what's going on now. The entire story and dialogue and everything typical in narrative is delivered through this prism of music. So if you listen to the soundtrack first, you will have a clearer understanding of what is being said, because it's not as clear if you were watching it on Hamilton. There'll be some points where the music's just a little bit louder than the dialogue and you'll miss it. But if you listen to the soundtrack, you'll be able to be like, oh, okay, I get what the narrative is trying to tell me here. And then you'll have a better understanding by then seeing it being played out via like actions and stuff. It's two completely different experiences, but I think one is better to be leading into the Hamilton by listening to the soundtrack.
I felt the same way, definitely.
Okay.
I just went straight into the musical.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't listen to the soundtrack, but like that's why like now, because I listened to it this morning, I was just like, oh, if I'd listened to this first, the first 15 minutes, I would have been like, oh, okay, I get who Alexander Hamilton is. He was an I'm not going to give it away, but he's this, and this, which they tell you in the first 15 minutes, but I wasn't it wasn't imprinting itself into my brain because I just wasn't tuned into understanding what was going on. And then 15 minutes into it, or around about that point, I was just like, oh, wait, okay, I get it now. The song is what it is.
Yeah, because I already knew like the story of Hamilton before I watched.
Oh, okay, I didn't know any of that shit.
Oh, really? Yeah. A good one is Lin-Manuel Miranda did an episode of Drunk History about Hamilton, and it is hilarious.
It's really good. Would recommend.
Fuck, who plays? So
Where can you watch that?
It's on Comedy Central. You can find it on YouTube and stuff.
I saw it. I'll watch it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza was in it.
Aubrey Plaza plays Aaron Burr.
Oh my god, yes.
Fuck, who plays Hamilton?
I don't remember.
Is it the girl from Arrested Development?
I think it is. Wait, let me.
It might be. Yeah, the cousin.
Oh yeah, her. Oh god, what's her name?
I think it's her. She plays Alexander Hamilton in the episode of Drunk Histories, and I was watching that like about a week or two ago before like I knew I was going to end up watching this at some point, and it's more a concise rundown of like the key moments in his life, and then the musical sort of expands on a lot of those key moments and embellishes here and there where it needs to and that. But so I kind of went in. I wanted to go in as blind as possible, but I did kind of accidentally stumble across that episode of Drunk Histories, and I was kind of like, I'll watch it. Fuck it, why not?
I mean, with historical pieces, I'm less fussed about spoilers and stuff. Like I know the story of Jesus, but you can still watch the Passion of the Christ and like, you know, get something out of it.
Yeah, well, ultimately, Alexander Hamilton, the first song of the musical, kind of tells you exactly what's going to happen and who is who to.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what that song is.
So, like, you kind of already know what's going to happen.
I mean,
based on that first song.
That sounds like that's exactly what you want, though. Like, it seems like you know, you want that kind of TLDR of sort of like, okay, this is Alexander Hamilton, this is George Washington, this is this person, and here's how they're all related to each other. Because you don't know who the fuck this guy is, and nobody blames you because like he was kind of a relatively unknown person, but like we're here to highlight the achievements of this person. So like, I'm totally cool with that. And I'm not bothered by like, you know, being spoiled of like, oh, Alexander Hamilton died in this year. It's sort of like, yeah, dude, he was a historical person who actually, like that's, you know, like when I was watching through the first season of The Queen, I wasn't like sitting on the edge of my seat going, oh, do you think England's going to survive World War II? It's like, no, I know the English win. It's fine. It doesn't spoil anything to like see the Queen like being worried about about the Nazis invading her. It's like, no, it still makes for good drama. You just know how it ends.
Well, then speaking of that drama, the first song is fucking excellent, and where it got me off guard. And like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big history buff. I'm slowly becoming a bigger history buff, but up until this, I'm not. So I know of the American Revolution, I know of the Founding Fathers, but that's literally it. I just know of, right? So I literally didn't know anything about the behind the scenes or the surrounding stories or any of the major shit that George Washington even did. So to me, I was learning history watching this. The brilliance of that first fucking song is not only does it establish all the characters, but it gives away the ending. And it's giving it, and I think the delivery of Hamilton is, and like this is just my personal opinion on it, the delivery of Hamilton through the eyes of both Hamilton himself, obviously, and through Burr is the best part about this, because it gives you, it obviously shines a light on who Aaron Burr was, and you know how these two have always met throughout their lives and why they always come into conflict and that kind of stuff. But to deliver the story of Hamilton through the eyes of Aaron Burr is a unique perspective to take, and then having that established in the first song is brilliant.
Yeah, that's why I love how that's come all the way through, and I think that sort of narrative look from Burr really sort of comes to head in Obedient Servant, because they're just talking to each other, but you can tell and look at the tension and see how it's all come to a head. And that, I find that really interesting. I think that's a really interesting song in regards to story, as well as sort of highlighting that relationship. Because that's really the last that you see of those two together, ultimately.
Like, you might know history, but I think the delivery through Aaron Burr's perception is it's a little bit different. So that's why I think for everyone who knows history, it still is different for them. Because you might know, obviously Aaron Burr kills Alexander Hamilton. Fucking spoiler, right? But to see Hamilton's life progress through the eyes of Burr is a different take than what history books have told us.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the point of the musical. And also that Drunk Histories episode was when Lynn was talking about the fallout of him killing Hamilton. He kind of got relegated to this back page of history a lot, and a lot of his accomplishments did as well. And you have to understand how entwined their lives were throughout this really important, really historical point in American history, like the birth of the nation. They both had a massive hand in all of these like pieces that had to move to make this happen. But the fact that he ended up killing Hamilton pretty much meant that he got wiped from history a little bit. Yeah. And people were like, yeah, he's just the guy that killed Hamilton. But he did all this other stuff. Like he was a very crafty general in the army. Like he was fucking very good at politics, a great lawyer, but everyone just like, no, he killed Hamilton. Fuck that guy. And the one thing that Lin-Manuel Miranda brought up in the Drunk Histories, and you get a bit of that in the musical as well, is the fact that throughout their entire lives, Hamilton was the brash one, Burr was the reserved one. But then in the moment where it came to their duel, their roles swapped, and Hamilton became reserved, and Burr was the brash one. And then throughout all of history, people just remember them for that moment. Is that Hamilton was this reserved, confident, sort of headstrong guy, and Burr was this rash, emotional person you couldn't really trust. And that is the story that got told for the rest of time. And it's not until something like this comes along, or the book that it's based on, that we get that other side of the story, like everything that preceded or that led up to that moment, where the history books got sort of changed.
Did you get the sense that in the second act they turned Hamilton heel on the audience?
A little bit.
Yeah, because if we impose a wrestling understanding on it, that first act, obviously, the establishing Hamilton is the face of this whole thing, right? This is his story, and
he's the underdog,
Burr's the bad guy, right? Yeah. But then that second act hits, and then a couple of songs into it, or maybe about 10, 20 minutes in, you get in the sense that, and I like to believe this is deliberately done, because he starts to wear black more and darker colors more. Hamilton starts to take the role of the heel and burst, and you're starting to see the tweener version of Burr come through, and you're agreeing a bit more with Burr, right? Going like, well, why did you make what happened behind that door? Why was the trade made? Why did you give up this much? And it's just like, well, is Hamilton bad for doing that? Yes, he probably is.
I think that really comes to a head when Hurricane hits.
Yes,
that's the song where ultimately it's just him in the middle of the stage with his desk. And he's just like, okay, and that's the ultimate shift to going, okay, no, I totally understand what Burr is talking about.
Yeah, and then Hamilton was a heel at that point.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, fantastic.
So how long? Like the other question I really had is how long is the play? Like how long am I sitting down for to watch this?
2 hours and 40 minutes.
There's an intermission in between though, which
Like
I
1 minute intermission.
I love it. I genuinely lose that intermission too. I was like, oh shit, okay, I can take a quick piss and get something to eat.
I'm actually
Well,
You could have
Yeah,
just paused it.
No, I could have, but I'm used to intermission. I was like, fuck yeah.
Me
Why
and
don't
my
more movies
sister
have it?
also took like an hour intermission,
Oh, for real?
self-imposed,
Jesus.
the first time we watched it.
Oh yeah, right. So you gotta do it legit.
For like the last 20 minutes. So after Obedient Servant, we're like, we can't do this. Because every single time I listen to the soundtrack, I deliberately don't listen to the last like 4 songs because I just burst into tears and can't stop crying.
Yeah, it gets fucking heavy towards the
Like
end.
basically, as soon as it gets to Best of Wives and Best of Women, I'm like, I can't do it. It's too much for me. And I've been having that same feeling for 3 years. I can't do it.
Dang.
So wait. So are you saying you weren't able to finish watching Hamilton? Is that what happened?
No,
or-
I finished. I've now finished it twice. I
Okay.
finished it, but I just bawled my eyes. I was sobbing the first time I watched it at the end.
Okay. Right.
Like-
I understand. Yeah. Okay. So hang on. So then the other, like my other question really is sort of like relating to Lin-Manuel Miranda himself in that
Mhm.
he's a playwright and he's a writer and that's what he does and he's extremely good at what he does. So
Mhm.
and he plays the role of Alexander Hamilton in this in the Broadway rendition.
Yep.
How is he as a thespian? Like what are his acting chops like?
Really good.
Incredible.
Yeah,
He
like,
is a great actor in this. Great
Yeah.
actor.
100. He's amazing. And same like with the other big musical he wrote, In the Heights, that also got amazing reviews. He also played the main character in that.
Yeah.
And it's from what I've seen of that, he did an amazing job. But Hamilton really showed off his acting chops because of the fact that it's such a complex story with a lot of like each song brings sort of a new emotion. And having to do that while singing, trying to rap, and trying
Yeah.
to act
Oh,
is
bro.
so hard.
His little facial like the blink, like the quick blinking he does sometimes. There's like little facial things he does that are just fucking hilarious and give me like every time he does them, I'm bawling, like I'm laughing my ass off because he's so good at, and the musical, the way it's written as well, and obviously he's responsible for that too, is the like the slight little, not when they're necessarily singing, but when they're kind of like doing that rap talking back and forth between each other. The little turns of phrase and stuff that he manages to put in there are fucking hilarious. Like there are some genuinely laugh out loud moments in this musical as you go through it. Like like it shows off his chops, and like obviously everyone else is doing a fantastic job as well. But the fact that this guy and everyone else you're right, rapping, singing, acting, and dancing all at the same time is just incredible. And there's just these little tiny moments that he like throws in there of levity that are just fucking so well done, so well placed.
My favorite part is the bit in Non-Stop where he does that little really funny dance when he's like, I was chosen for the Constitutional Convention. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. I was pissing myself laughing. And I'm going, I didn't even think of doing that. Like when I listened to it the first time, I'm like on the soundtrack, and I'm like, oh, that's so funny. That's the perfect way to play that moment. And I'm going, yes, that totally makes sense.
I just think the way they wrote Thomas Jefferson is the fucking greatest thing that has ever happened ever.
I
He's
know.
great as well.
Like, if we're gonna talk about people who have range and like who are like, when did it came out? 2015, first Broadway, right?
Off
Or
Broadway, yeah.
off Broadway, and then it made Broadway 2016, 2017.
2016 was when it made Broadway, yeah.
So this Broadway made David Diggs, because I'm looking at his IMDb right now, and ever since then he starred in like Snowpiercer. He's done like Blind Spot. He's done movies since that. His acting in Hamilton is sensational.
Fun fact about David Diggs: before he was cast in Hamilton, Lynn approached him and asked him to be in it because he's part of a rap group called Clipping, which is that really great group, and he was actually a food delivery driver. And he initially turned down the role because he was too scared to sing. And then Lynn convinced him to do it. And then that basically made his career.
Oh my God.
And Leslie Odom Jr. initially didn't want to do Hamilton because he thought the idea was stupid.
What are you doing?
There's always stories like that when it comes to like great art and stuff where people are
I
just like,
know.
"Ah, it's dumb. I'm not going to do it. Or they have to be convinced or something like that to like actually do it. And then when they do it, they're like, oh, this was actually a really good idea. My favorite little moment also from was Lafayette is I think it was during one of the openers.
My shot.
My shot, yeah, that's it.
My shot. Yes.
When he was trying to rhyme with the French accent, anarchy.
Oh yes,
that's
anarchy.
so funny.
Yeah. But they use that when he has to have that pause and then does like the American anarchy.
Yeah.
They use that to then change the rhyming convention of the rap going forward.
Yes.
I'm just like, that is such fucking clever writing. Like, because they were like rhyming stuff to sort of match up with that. And then he had to like change the accent and tell a joke at the same, like, and make it a joke at the same time. And then, but it changed the entire rapping, like the convention of the rap for the rest of the song. I'm just like,
Yeah.
that is fucking like, just, that is some genius level shit to come up with that. To like,
There's layers to that.
Yeah. To like, and I've watched a lot of videos where they break down like the levels of rhyme that go into rapping. And like, I think I've talked about this before on the show. And there's like multiple levels. You can either just like rhyme the last syllable of each line or each other line or whatever. But when you start rhyming entire phrases and entire verses together, that's when you're starting to get like very complex. And there's a bit of that in this as well. But then to write stuff that not only works in a syntax sense, like it makes sense to go forward, but to then put a joke in there, have a bit of a pause, and then have that joke then influence the rest of the phrases going forward is incredibly hard to do. And the fact that like Lin-Manuel has like managed to do that, and he does it a couple other times in the musical as well, is just like, you have to think about that stuff for a long while. Like that stuff really doesn't just come to you. There are some rappers out there that it will just come to them straight away. But I get the feeling that he had to like kind of study the greats of rap to kind of get a lot of this across in a way that made sense and was also like easy to listen to and understandable. Because it like, then you're right, David, there was a few moments at the start of the musical where I was like, I didn't quite catch a phrase or a word or something, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? So I got to go back and watch it again. So maybe listening to the musical
I recommend you listen to the soundtrack before you watch it again.
Yeah, you'll just have a better understanding of the words that are being said.
Also, it's a lot clearer to understand the words as well and understand the little nuances in the lyrics as well.
I think I might have to go back and do that. But yeah, it's just like, just everything put together. It is such a fucking incredible piece of theater. It's so well done.
Yeah.
It's
also, when I'm thinking of rhyming, in musical theater, it's generally quite taboo to rhyme like words, basically rhyme a word with itself. And there's a part in Dear Theodosia where when Hamilton's character's like rhymes son as in
I know the spot. Yep.
My son, and I'm going, you broke the rule. You broke the musical theater rule, but it works so well. And my mind, I like blew my mind because I'm going, you rhyme two words that are the same. Why did you do that? That's the badness.
I swear to God, they did that somewhere else too, and I noticed it as well.
Yes, I know. It happens quite often in it, but that's the most obvious one.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a Burr song where he rhymed. I think it was like a word that like it has two meanings, but he used it like back to back. Firstly with one meaning, and then secondly the next one with another meaning, but it's like the same word. I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to think of it now. But yeah, I noticed that straight away. I was like, you just rhyme the same word with the same. You can't do that.
But, that's not
it
good.
works. But it works.
Totally works.
It works so goddamn well.
Did Lin-Manuel Miranda write not only just the narrative of Hamilton, but did he also write the songs as well?
I know that he had some help.
Because if he wrote the songs and then managed to write them also fitting into so many different genres, this man has got to be one of the most talented people that's ever existed.
Well, I don't know, it's Wikipedia and it's not the best fucking look at, but like if you look on Wikipedia, credited music, lyrics, and the book is just all Lin-Manuel Miranda. There's no like
fucking
other
brilliant from him
writers credited.
Because there's so many different flares and genres, innuendos, fucking so many like different technical pieces of writing that have gone into this. If he is one of the sole writers or main influential writers of this man deserves everything. That's outstanding.
They won like every fucking Tony Award there is.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Outstanding.
Like, I know that he had, I know that there was sort of a musical help with someone called Alex I think his name was Lacroix. And he helped with some of the music, and I know that he's the conductor.
Oh my god, he was nominated for the Oscar for writing How Far I'll Go from Moana.
I told you.
He wrote all the music for Moana, and then I was actually reading up on him earlier. He wrote some of the musical beats in the latest Star Wars trilogy as well.
Yeah,
really?
he did.
Yeah.
This man is a gift.
Also, he had a really, really funny episode on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
He did, and it was amazing.
It was really good.
I was so excited. I'm like, oh my god, Lynn's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I mean, the best performance I've ever seen of Lin-Manuel Miranda, to be fair, it's also the only performance of Lin-Manuel Miranda I've ever seen, is him playing the role of the narrator in the My Brother and Me TV show Candle Nights episode.
Huh.
I've not seen that.
But fucking hell, this man has a gift. You
have to look up when he did Hamilton in front of Obama.
Yeah.
What?
He performed the first song in he's actually performed a couple of times in front of Obama, and then there's one of them, I think they just sang Alexander Hamilton, but there's one where the Broadway cast performed at the White House, like the principal cast that performs at the White House.
Yeah. I was actually reading up about that and him seeing Obama, and there was actually a little footnote at the bottom, and it was in 2016 the Obama administration put forward a bill to take Alexander Hamilton off the $10 note, and the popularity of this musical basically just squashed that immediately.
Yeah,
and
it was so funny.
We got to keep him on the $10 bill now. We can't take him off.
No, because he's the, as it says, the $10.
The man invented banks for America, apparently.
Well, yeah, he wrote all basically all the financial fucking cornerstones that America still operates under.
He should be on the $100 note, in my opinion.
Probably.
As Jefferson said, we don't give him enough credit for the credit that he gave us.
Oh, yeah. You're having a bit of a quote.
Good.
So he's on the $10 bill. I'll have to go and dig out because I've got a US $10 bill sitting in my collection. I'll have to go and look at it again.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, right.
Is Lin-Manuel Miranda considered a playwright? Is that what the technical title is? Or is that an old usage term for Shakespearean playwrights?
No, I consider him to be a playwright.
Where would you rank him? Hamilton is a massive fucking success.
So was In the Heights. In the Heights is also probably one of the greatest musicals. And that's having a film come out, and the guy who plays Lawrence and Philip is actually playing Lynn's original role in that movie.
So I'm just currently looking at greatest playwrights of all time. Just out of my own personal gimmick. Obviously, we got Shakespeare, Arthur Miller 1 and 2, right? You're very hard to take out them. But then you got a lot of old school, Oscar Wilde, yeah, fair enough. I'm currently just looking at this based on my own hype for Lin-Manuel Miranda. Surely the man's top 10.
No, he's amazing.
The problem is that it's too early to tell. It's just too early to tell.
But this is my too early pick, though.
But that's what I mean, though, because a couple years ago, the hype around Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, you could have made the same call, and look at it today, it's non-existent. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit about it anymore. That's sort of
How dare you?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, John.
Actually,
dare you?
Can I just, JJ, did you like that?
Yes.
I loved it. I saw it as well.
I liked it because I really enjoyed the staging. I didn't take it as a canon story.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, in terms of whether or not it's a story.
Yeah, I took it as its own isolated story, and it was great.
Because she wrote it.
And she wrote it for a play, too.
And it's not good. It's not a good story.
No, for me,
Did you read the book,
what made it wasn't the story, it was the experience.
I have the book.
I have the book, too.
I read it.
I haven't read the book.
And I was like, this is fan fiction.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I'm not debating that point, but the book's written
as a play.
As a play.
It's written as the play. Yeah.
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 So therefore, the best way to ingest that medium is the play.
I know. But the problem is I got the book, I read the book, and then I was like, fuck this, I don't like this at all. So I had no intention to go see the musical because I was like, fuck it.
Yeah,
No,
you know what?
no,
Okay.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah.
That's deliberately why
Yeah.
I never read it.
Yeah, no, I was about to
Yeah.
back up Dave and JJ and be like, hang on, Ricki, you're not giving it its fair shake. But actually, no, you made an excellent point there because, like, the thing that pissed me off in high school more than anything else was reading Shakespeare because that is not how Shakespeare intended you to consume his work. In any way, shape, or form. He wanted you to stand in the fucking Globe Theatre and watch people on stage perform it. That's what he wanted. That's what he wrote it for. So when you read Romeo and Juliet, you're missing like 90% of what's going on. And but that being said, though, when you read Romeo and Juliet, you do get the idea of like, kind of want to see this performed on stage. Like, but if you're not getting that from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, like that's kind of where it's let down.
From what I flicked through the book after I saw it, the book doesn't do it justice. The ambience that they've made in the theater that they're performing it in, and the casting and the characterization of the characters, kind of makes you forget about any flaws in the story because of the delivery and the experience of it. It's more of a whole. You have to sort of.
It's an experience. Like
you got to immerse yourself. In the world, because basically, as soon as you sit down, it doesn't feel like a theater anymore.
Okay, maybe if we can ever go outside
David?
again.
What's that?
Do you feel the same way? Like you got to like immerse yourself into the whole thing.
Yeah, it's exactly the point I made. It's like you read it and you're going, yeah, fair enough. And like, not all authors can write across every single genre ever, right? Like, it's unfair to sit there. Same thing applies to lawyers. Not all lawyers know all the law ever, right? So, J.K. Rowling writing a play is an achievement in that for her.
Any story choices, I hated all of her story choices.
No, fair enough. But fair enough. That's fair, right? You can compare story against its theater, but they're two different things.
I know,
right? So
I was too immersed in what was happening on the stage.
Absolutely.
To really consider any sort of story flaw, because I know there are many.
I mean, it literally reads like she took every single criticism from the end of the series and tried to retcon a bunch of them. And I was just like, no, you make your choices in the in your writing, you publish it, and then that's it. You start retconning stuff, it opens up fucking that many doors of like, oh, possibly we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this. Don't. Just leave stories as they are. Don't fuck with them. Let them be.
Agreed. Whether you want to call it canon or not is up to you. That's on you.
If we're looking at it as like it's non-head canon, I remove it from the rest of the Harry Potter pantheon, and don't even get me started on fucking Pottermore. Dear Lord, woman, put down the keyboard.
God, you could not be any more Ravenclaw right now.
I did the test. I'm a Gryffindor. I'm a
Slytherin.
I'm a Slytherin. I'm a Slytherin as well.
JJ, I had you pegged as a Ravenclaw.
Oh, that's funny coming from a Ravenclaw, Ricki.
I had Slytherin robes. When I first got Pottermore, I was Slytherin, and I'm stuck.
I'm Slytherin and proud, JJ. I'm with you. I'm Slytherin and fucking proud. You are such a Ravenclaw, Ricki. You could not be any more Ravenclaw if you tried.
I did the test and I was Gryffindor. So
yeah, whatever, bro. Everyone wants to be Gryffindor. If you ask that, you'll get what you want. So you're just asked to be Gryffindor, but really you're Ravenclaw. Okay, really you're Ravenclaw, and I'm not having it. You fucking claw. Anyway, whether we call Cursed Child canon or not doesn't matter because whether you like it or not, Hamilton is canon. It's literally American history.
Yeah, you can't get any more canon than that.
You can't this isn't canon, okay? It's fucking American history. It's fucking history. Whether or not Harry Potter exists is up to you, man, okay?
Although the one spanner in the works in Hamilton being considered canon though is I'm pretty sure at the first Continental Congress they didn't rap about how they were going to govern.
One of the memes I've seen, I said it to JJ earlier.
It would have been cooler if they did.
I agree.
Look at Hamilton through a lens and understand that it's not completely historically accurate. Some of the songs they sing didn't actually happen in history. They sung some songs.
Harry didn't stand outside the door and jump on a table about how he wanted to be in the room where it happened.
Yeah, he might have wanted to be in the room when it happened. He didn't sing a song about it though.
He might have in his private time.
Might have.
He
Might
might
have.
have, who knows?
I believe Aaron Burr. Yeah, Aaron Burr. He's the face of this, really. They should have just named it Burr.
All right, so before we wrap up today, I've got one last question then in regards to so JJ, you reckon the best way to approach Hamilton is to listen to the soundtrack first and then watch the play?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So then my question then becomes, what's the best way to consume the soundtrack? Like how did you first listen to the soundtrack? Take us through that.
I listened to it on Spotify.
Yeah, but give us the context. Like, yeah, no shit,
and
JJ.
I sat down and I had my headphones in and I just sat there and I listened to it.
Okay.
If you have a beanbag, John, I would suggest sitting in there. Maybe
I would suggest getting in a comfy chair.
Yep.
However you like to listen to a podcast.
Oh, well, that's because I listen to podcasts while I walk, while I exercise.
I was going to say, yeah.
No, the first act,
hours and 50
and
minutes.
maybe the second half of the second act is perfect for walking.
Okay. So all right. So treat it. So what you're saying is, so approach the soundtrack the same way you would approach a podcast. Whatever the way you like to listen to a podcast is the way you should listen to this soundtrack.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense because you've got to consume language and and comprehend it and stuff like
and
that.
Also
like it's
it's
less
telling
about
you a story.
Yeah.
So to get into that headspace of following a narrative trail, it's sort of that. It's sort of the same as a podcast. You go listen to what's happening to understand what's happening in this the arc of the podcast.
Just treat it like a super elaborate podcast.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It gives you way too much information and is really long.
No, that makes sense. And that makes me feel better about it because, one of my favorite genres of podcasts to listen to while I exercise is actual play D&D podcasts. And so, I'll be sitting there, I'll be, walking and getting my cardio in while I'm, following along with a plot and stuff like that. So
I do that too.
Yeah. So, that sounds like, okay, cool. So, I'll do that, and then I'll watch Hamilton, and then maybe one day next year we'll go and see it in theaters. Did they say they were going to do a run here in Melbourne, or is it just going to be? Are they going to do some Sydney bullshit?
It's like the Cursed Child. New South Wales bid more.
Fucking Sydney side and pricks.
And they've also picked probably one of the worst theaters to do it in because the sound and the lyric theater is renowned for being shit.
They're gonna. They're not going to do it in
Sydney, and they're not doing it at the Opera House.
I was going to say, if
I
you're going to book something as big as this, you surely rent out the opera.
Isn't there only one place in Sydney to ever do anything, and that's at the fucking Opera House? Why the fuck else are they going to do
one thing
it?
to see in Sydney in general.
It's got to have the right space for the revolving floor.
True.
Because that's the whole thing. Without that revolving floor, the performance is nothing.
Where do they do Cursed Child here, JJ? Was it the
Princess Theatre?
Yeah, Princess Theatre. Obviously.
Is that big enough?
Princess is huge.
Yeah,
I'd
huge.
argue.
Yeah, probably.
Well, the thing is, with Hamilton as well, the set is vertical as well as on the floor.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't actually need that much room compared to other musicals where there's actual sets that change all the time. They're telling a story in the same setting, but just changing the props, which is really impressive.
Yeah, I was towards the end, I was really starting to notice the stage direction properly, and it's really well done.
My favorite part of that is when it's in Satisfied, where everything rewinds.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love that so much.
That's some of the best musical staging I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, that is so well done.
I think the brilliance of it is that they managed to avoid a lot of the nitpickier, hide the bullshit stuff because they were filming it in a film kind of setting. Not a film kind of setting, but using cameras and shit, which is not traditional for Broadway. So to avoid a lot of that with the end cut that they did was fucking fantastic.
Well, it's 3 shows stitched together.
Yeah, I was going to say they filmed 3 different shows stitched together.
So it's 2 shows.
I didn't even know the cuts happened.
It's 2 shows with an audience. And then 1 show they did without an audience so they could do all the close-ups with the cameras on stage with the actors.
Oh.
Yeah, and during the filming, I'm 90% sure they gave special instructions not to make noise and not to clap in the middle of songs. Because Hamilton was renowned in the early days of when it first went to Broadway for people yelling and getting really excited when Lynn or Leslie Odom Jr. were on stage performing.
Because they were treating it like a concert and they were getting fucking amped.
Oh, I would 100% join in for both my shot and then when King George tells everyone to join in for the first.
Did you know? Fun fact: King George is Kristoff in Frozen.
I was just looking at his IMDb page and I was like, "Whoa, fuck me!"
Jonathan Groff is amazing. I love.
Could they not have had any more Disney people with this fucking production? Amazing.
Good thing it's on Disney Plus.
Because George Washington also voices the Moana's dad in Moana.
Is Moana's dad's singing voice? Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Right, so that kind of explains why it's
I'm
on
so
Disney
glad
Plus.
that I finally found more people who I've now converted.
I'm invested.
And it's great.
I love it. I'm watching it. I'm gonna watch it again.
I've been hearing about this since like 2016.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I've seen it. I've literally seen it around. Like when people talk about Broadway, they talk about this.
Yeah, because it was around the time that Book of Mormon was starting to like die off, and there weren't as many shows being booked, and then everyone was kind of like, "What's the next musical going to be?" And then everyone started talking about Hamilton, and I had no idea what it was. And I started looking it up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's about some dude from the past, and it's all raps and stuff." And I was like, "That's a pretty cool concept." And I'm like, "It's probably never going to come to Australia, so I won't worry about it." But then like it just kept getting more and more buzz, and more and more buzz, and I was kind of like, "Okay, this is actually going to be a thing at some point." And then they dropped it on Disney Plus, so yay, here we are. It's fantastic.
Yeah, when they announced the film was coming to Disney Plus, I nearly cried. I was so excited.
You were like a day one watcher. You were like counting down the minutes. You were like,
literally. No, David can attest to this. I literally was like, I can watch it in like 4 hours.
She'd give me an hour update, be like, "Stop, babe, it's an hour away. Oh my god."
Because I had to work. I was working. And so me and my sister was like, okay, we're going to watch it at this time because then we'll have time to get drinks and then have food. It'd be great. And I'm like, okay, we can do it in like 20 minutes.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I was literally counting down seconds. It was very exciting.
Oh, fantastic. All right, well, I think...
And there is nothing else that you will ever see me do that for.
I was say that sounded like me with the last Tool album. I took a day off work to listen to it.
Album. I love
the things we do for the art that we love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I can't knock that. I mean, when I was an idiot teenager, I chucked a sickie to go and see Bam Margera when he came to Melbourne. So,
look, if it's any consolation, if The Rock was working out down the street, I would take the day off work too.
I was going to say, hang on, John, what year was that?
This is, like I said, when I was an idiot teenager. This was, I don't remember. It was around the time they were doing Jackass 2 because there's a scene, I think it's in Jackass 2, where you see Bam jump on top of the 631 bus out the front of Southland Shopping Centre. And like that's like the bus that's like up the road from my house, and it goes from like there to the shopping center. And I was like, "Oh shit, I know that bus." So around the time of Jackass 2, I think. So
I was going to say whatever particular year that was, that is the most that thing year ever. Going to see Bam Margera.
Yeah. Like I said, I was an idiot teenager. This is when I was probably like 13 or 14. You know what I mean? And like when you're a 13 or 14-year-old boy, like Jackass is like the be all end all of culture.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It is like the height of culture, only to be surpassed at the time by Jackass 3, and then that had a long run until the Dirty Sanchez movie came out. I never got into the Tokyo Shock Boys, but that's just because like they were too commercial. They like toned it down too much to be like to get on television. Whereas like Dirty Sanchez were like, let's do cannibalism while we get hand jobs, and like that was just they decided to kick it up a notch, which was like the best thing ever when you're 14.
Yeah, exactly. I saw the most 2020 thing ever yesterday. I did check this up as a tweet, but I was walking.
I did see a tweet. Yes.
Oh my god!
Walking back from the shops, there's a guy driving down Kingsway with a face mask hanging off his rear view mirror, and I did a literal double take. It was like that wasn't fluffy dice, and I'm just like, fuck, that is just such a you're not going to see that any other year. Hopefully, not 2021. But it was the most 2020 thing I've fucking seen. Surgical mask hanging off, or like face mask hanging off a rear vision mirror. I'm like, that man's living in this year, and he's doing the best he can.
It's the ultimate vibe, ultimate 2020 vibe.
It is a fucking vibe. So I was just, it's a weird time we live in.
And with that, we'll leave it there for today. So I want to thank my guests, Ricki Needs, David Young, and JJ. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for letting me talk about Hamilton in a public forum.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Thanks for letting all of us talk about Hamilton.
Literally just Hamilton.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was basically Hamilton with a little bit of shitting on Harry Potter at the end there. That was about it. Yeah.
Yay.
Hooray.
But no, thank you for educating me about Hamilton, because like, I mean, it's one of those things, like, I didn't grow up in a musical household. My dad actually hates musicals. Like, and it's just like growing up, whenever like he was dragged along to things like that, like, you know, this, like he liked the movie bit or the play bit, and then the songs would come on and him and his brother would just like muck up and fuck around. So like that was just, yeah, we're not a musical household at all. And I don't hate musicals. I don't have a disdain for musicals in the same way. It's just I never had a proper exposure to them because of that. And my mum, I don't know, she just never, I mean, she's more into like opera and the arts and stuff in that kind of a way, and she just never got me into musicals. Although, I mean, she's a huge fan of Gilbert and Sullivan, so I don't know. It's just something that never came up. Although that being said, though, we're also dirt poor, so like if there was ever, and going to plays is expensive as fuck, so like, you know, that's probably the other reason.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so this will be good. This will be a good part of my part of my education, is kind of exposing myself to more like musicals and stage shows and stuff like that.
Have you been converted to watch it? Are you going to watch it?
Oh, I was going to watch it before this, but like the reason why I was really the big hesitation I had was the time sink. I was just sort of like, I don't know if I could, because I was worried. I was like, oh fuck, you know, stage shows, they got intermissions and shit. They could be like a 4.5 hour production, and it's sort of like, I did that for the Lord of the Rings, and I never want to do that again. So, yeah, so the fact that it's only 2 hours and 40 minutes, plus there's an intermission, like, I'm down for that.
There's also a guide online that tells you the perfect places to pause it if you need to go take a break.
Oh, fuck yeah. Send me the link to that. I want that, because I have my bladder is a piece of shit, and I need to piss like a motherfucker like every 10 minutes. So like, fuck yeah, send me that along. Otherwise I got to otherwise I got to spend 3.5 hours before watching it dehydrating myself in order to be able to watch it without needing to pee. I did that for Avengers Endgame, and it's like, it's not pleasant, but it's worth doing.
I never understood the problem everyone had with Avengers Endgame being nearly 3 hours.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Didn't feel like 3 hours the first time I watched it.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Because everyone's like, oh, I need to go take a piss every 3 hours. No, you don't.
Well, I mean, I do.
There's something wrong with you.
I do. Like, there is something wrong with me, but that was the only issue I had with it, is that, like, you know, I like to pause it and pee. But that being said, though, that's why I own it now on Google Play, like, so that I can watch it and just happily pause it every 20 minutes, and it's great. It's like, oh, fantastic. I love modern technology. This is great. Like, if I was a billionaire, if I was a literal billionaire, if I had Bezos fuck you money, I would build myself a movie theater size like theater with all the seats and all the accoutrement, and then just have like my seat have a remote control in it, so I could watch something in a theater environment but still be able to pause and get up and take a piss. That'd be like me living my best life for sure.
It's a hell of a flex.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a fucking flex, but like, yeah, that's it. And like, yeah. And also, like, I would never, like, sell tickets to that theater ever. It would be a completely empty theater. It would be just me, so I could, like, hoot and holler and, like, you know, get into the film as much as I like. And everybody can leave me the fuck alone for, like, an hour and a half. It'd be just fantastic. So if you like this episode, please tell 2 friends in 2020. You can check us out on Spotify and on iTunes and everywhere you like to listen to podcasts, everywhere all good podcasts are sold. Check out our Instagram with all of our gimmicks at pint.party. Post all of our gimmicks there and new episodes and stuff. Or if Instagram's not your jam, check us out on Twitter at Pint Party, all one word, which Dave and Ricki forgot about last night, but that's okay. We won't hold that against them. If you're interested in watching us live on Twitch, if you want to see us play some video games, in fact, we're going to do that after the recording of this episode, which if you're listening to this now on Tuesday, you'll have missed, but you can check out the VODs on YouTube. By the way, we have a YouTube channel. Just search Pint Party on YouTube and you can check us all out there. But we also have a Twitch, twitch.tv/Pint Party, where on, the schedule's kind of changing a little bit, but basically it's going to be Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays, and maybe some Saturday gimmicks. I've been playing video games, so Thursdays and Fridays I play Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, commonly called the Gimmick Age, where we basically sit there and go, this is so much like a video game version of The Empire Strikes Back, it's not even funny. And then on Sundays we play Exapunks, which is about programming video games and all kinds of super nerdy bullshit. So, you know, there you go. You want to out-nerd me, there you go. I play American Truck Simulator and programming video games. So there you go. And but we also play Minecraft, and we're going to do that this afternoon. Those VODs will be up on our YouTube channel. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about. Oh, right. And Ricki also has a Twitch as well, if you want to follow him at twitch.tv/elneedzo. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Fantastic. All right. And with that, this has been Pint Party. Cheers.
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 This podcast is part of the Hartefact Podcast Network. For more of this and our other podcasts, head to hartefactstudios.com.au.